I'm Nadia Dunn, your host of CCL TV's More Than Packages interview series. But who are CCL? Well, CCL are an independent and neutral third-party logistics service provider and custom clearance specialist. From e-concept to e-logistics for e-commerce, CCL has the e-solution. In this episode, I'll be in conversation with Aidan Magee, who's the head of forwarding at LinC Group. And in the discussion from CCL team is our CEO, Rudee Bertie. Hi guys, thanks so much for joining me. How are you both today?
Yeah, good, Nadia. Good.
So Aidan, can you start by telling us a bit about your role and your background?
So, as you said, I'm Aidan Magee, and I head up LinC Freight Management. And what we are is a freight forwarding company. Well, I like to call us freight management. And basically what we do is we move goods from A to B, which is the simplest way of describing it. We won't move everything. We've got our own specialist little areas that we'll deal with. What else do we do? Let's go back to the freight management side. We add value and we provide calmness to our clients, because importing and exporting around the world, in my view, and most of my clients' view, it's quite a worrying thing. As for me and my background, basically I started at the bottom, on the desk, and learn it all. And you name it, I've done it, and I'm not afraid to do it.
Yeah, what you'll find, Nadia, sorry to cut there, Aidan's one of these characters that he looks at the difficult markets and the difficult jobs, the difficult clientele, and he goes in there and offers solutions.
And I've read something that you've said, that you ship from any door in the world to any door in the world. You know, it's quite a claim.
Well, you say it's quite a claim. In this industry, okay, the world and his wife could pick a pallet up from, let's say, Wolverhampton and deliver it to Belgium, or deliver it to Milan, or down to Athens, okay? That's easy, right? Subcontract it out, sell it. I mean, it's not that difficult. It's a bit more difficult now that we have to do customs clearance in Europe. But to earn a decent margin, which is at the end of the day, we're all here to earn profit, you know, and better ourselves. We, what is it they say? You don't live to work, you work to live. Okay. But I actually differ. I actually quite enjoy my job. I didn't at first, but I've learned to enjoy it, and it's given me a lot. So basically what I'm saying, when I can do door to door, there's a key area there that I can service people with, and not everyone wants to do door to door. Like, you'll meet a forwarder, and the client will say to him, I need to ship this box from my office in London and I want it delivered to Maputo. And they'll go, oh, well, I can ship it up to port for you. Then you've got to find a local guy. So I found a niche where you've got difficult shipments, not particularly difficult clients, but difficult consignees, i.e. the consignee, the attitude, yeah, I'll buy it, but bring it to me. I don't want to be involved in anything. And that's where I've cut my teeth. So that's what I mean by, I will take your box, your bottle of water, anything you've got, from any door in the world to any door worldwide. Yeah,
that's straight from the heart. You're obviously very passionate about what you do.
I am. And when I mentioned there before, like, you know, everyone used to get up, oh, we've got to go to work, you know, oh, wish I was at home partying and all that. I don't have that anymore. I generally don't mind going to work. I actually enjoy it. And I don't see it as an issue going into work. And I feel like I'm helping people. I don't like the stress, don't get me wrong. I don't thrive on the stress. I mean, and it's a really difficult time at the moment for forwarders and shipping lines, and, well, I don't know, shipping lines, they're making a lot of money at the moment, but for freight forwarders and customs clearance agents, I mean, but then difficult's good. I mean, who wants to go into work? I mean, I can't remember the last time I went into work and I clock watched. Ooh, I want to go home. I don't have that attitude.
But let's rewind a bit. Your passion came from when you were very, very young, and you were fascinated by articulated lorries and trucks.
Well, when I used to walk to school, my mum, God rest her soul, she's used to walk me to school. I was only about 8 or 9. I used to love the massive lorries that go past. And I used to pretend I was a truck, and I'd make the noises, even the reversing noises. And I was fascinated by them. And one of my friend's dads was actually a truck driver, and he used to park his lorry over the road from our house. And, you know, I just look at the size of his wheels and that. And he'd tell you stories of, he'd been off to far off places like Edinburgh. I'd been to Dublin today, you know. And to me, like, that was like, wow, what a job, you know. I love that.
You know, if you still make those noises at this age, people look at you like you're a bit strange.
Really funny, right? My youngest son, Alfie, I heard him making those noises the other day when he was walking down the road. So I'm like, is it hereditary? Have I passed it on to him?
It's in the genes.
You know? I mean, the one thing that's always bothered me a little bit, though, is why my family, my kids, my father, mum, no one else is passionate about what I do. In fact, if you ask my dad, what do you do, what your son does for a living? He's like, I don't know, does something with trucks. You know? So I genuinely believe our industry is forgotten. Like, people don't realise we're there and what we do.
Yeah.
You know? So, and that's another reason why I enjoy it, because, I mean, I'm sure Rudee agree, when you meet your wife's new friend or this dad or that dad at football or whatever, what would you do? And I do freight forwarding. He goes, what's that? You know, generally people don't know. And then you've got to go into this spill. Well, you see that shirt that you're wearing? Someone had to make that for you, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was also a point when you didn't know what that was, wasn't there? And there was a time when you were 7. Yeah, and there was a time when you were 17 and you needed to turn your life around, and you went for an interview. Tell us about that.
Okay, so I've been a bad boy, and I don't want to go into it too much. I don't want to embarrass by it. We all make mistakes. We all got to pass. And pretty much, I had to sort my life out, you know. I was living with my dad and my stepmom, and like just basically bumming around all the time. So I applied for an interview and a job. So back then, you didn't have job agencies, right? It was like a little black and white advert in the local paper. Didn't really say what he was doing. She said like office junior wanted. So I went in there, and the office was in a builder's yard. And I remember walking through these big blue gates and going in there. And Rudee, you're going to like this. As you walked into this man's office, on the wall, he had a big picture of Michael Thomas celebrating the 89-91 goal?
Yeah.
You know, at Liverpool. Right. And I thought, well, I like this bloke. You know, anyway, this guy come out, and he was lovely, but he was mean. When I say lovely and mean, it was like proper serious. And he interviewed me, and he kind of explained what he did and what they did. And then he asked me, why do you want the job? And I said to him, to be honest, I'll be totally honest with you, I've got to get myself sorted. You know, I need a career, I want this. And I said to him, as soon as I found out it involved haulage and trucking, I was sold, you know. And I was like, I never begged him, but I sort of said, look, I just want a chance, you know. Just like most kids out there, I mean, if you really want something, someone's got to give you a chance, right? So anyway, I took the job, and I was ecstatic when he called me. I remember the next 2 days, I was at my mum's. I was ecstatic when he called me. Like, oh my God, I've got a job, a proper job. You know, and I remember getting ready the next morning. I had to get the train, and it was in Feebles Grove. It was Waltham Cross area. And I had to get the train on my own, and and I was like, oh, how's this all going to work out, you know? Because I've never worked in an office before, you know. But it was great, and they were really nice. And I was working with a guy who was Sicilian, right? And it was a real introduction to like the foreign language and the fruits of the foreign language, you know, his expressions and the whole idea. I was dealing with guys, literally, they were kind of owner drivers, right? And so they'd own the truck. And what this company would do is they'd had a lot of contracts like with Ford, or they'd have it with, I think it was Mars. And they'd do regular loads back and forth between London and Milan back to London, down to Rome and down to Sicily. I mean, you got a job down to Sicily. It was like, wow, we're going to Barbados. It was like one of them big jobs, you know. And anyway, I just loved it. And I just put my head down, and I learned. And I earned this guy's trust. And then he let me look after a little department. Oh, you can do the exports, right? And back then, the UK manufactured a lot back then, right? You'll have to forgive me, I'm not great with dates, but if I was about 17, 18, I was a lot slimmer then. But I like regular loads. But it also introduced me to the other side of the spectrum. These guys that own their own trucks and trailers, okay, they were dealing in thousands of pounds worth of money every week. Like they're paying $3-4 grand to go for a round trip to Italy. But then it opened your eyes, like it was costing them £2,500-3,000 just to run this huge vehicle. I mean, the fuel costs alone, and then they'd get a tyre go and this. And I always felt sorry for the guys because they could never just get their head above water. Like they'd be happy with 100 quid profit. And I was like,
nah.
Like, no, but you need those guys.
Yeah.
And where there was us, who was the broker, basically, you know, we'd be creaming our 20% off the top. You know, but the idea of the broker was you'd bankroll everything. So you'd pay the truck driver his run money, you'd buy his tolls, you'd buy his ferry ticket, all of these things, and then you'd bill the client. And, you know, so you'll be the banker, you'll be the guy giving the 60-day credit, and you'll be funding everything. And that still exists today. That is freight forwarding for you now. You're a bank, you fund everything, right? And the worst thing you can say to a freight forwarder nowadays is like, yeah, I'll give you 60-day terms. Oh, well, my client's not paid me. Like my financial director, Martin, he hates giving people credit. He hates giving people credit, but he knows he has to. But man, is he on my case if they don't stick to those terms, because money and cash is what you need.
Yeah.
And is that around the same time that you were nominated for Freight Forwarder of the Year?
No, that was later on in my career. I hadn't years away from that. So I love this thing so first. And it also then, okay, what else it did discover? Go back to the finance thing is, so you're risking your money with these Italian manufacturers, and like one of them was a huge sock manufacturer, you know, and he sold it to Harrods. So you're giving him all this credit. And one day, one of them, bang, just went pop. And it took us for about 80 grand. Now 80 grand, still a lot of money, but it won't send anyone under. Well, some people maybe. And I'd lost my job. I hadn't done anything wrong. And the guy who ran the business, he did everything he could to try and keep it going. Started another company, tried that, but he'd had literally the life sucked out of him. He'd worked so hard to build this business, and just bang, I can't click my fingers, sorry, I've not been able to do it since I was a kid. Right, so I'm pretending I'm clicking my fingers, bang, like that. Right.
We'll put it in the edit, don't worry.
Yeah, can you edit that? Right. So it was gone, right? And it's like, and I went home and I remember crying to my dad saying, I've lost my job and I've done nothing wrong, you know. And you got a bit of redundancy, but it wasn't a huge amount of money, you know. But I had the bug. And the guy said, oh, I'll ring you in a couple of weeks. I'm going to start up again. But he never did ring. But I'll never forget that guy. And even now till today, I remember it. And some of my mannerisms and some of the way that I deal with my staff or my clients, it's still there, it's still running through me, this guy, you know. John Lazari was his name. Lovely, lovely guy. I think he sold insurance in the end. You know, I think he's saying you'd buy the insurance from him just to like, oh my God, you know, the size of this guy. Lovely, lovely guy though. Lovely guy. Yeah, so from then I went to, where did I go after that? Yeah, I went to work for a Turkish company. Now, they actually own their trucks and they were based over in Hemel. And I literally walked into this job, right? Because I knew what the guy needed and I could do the job. And he was a lovely guy called Naim Urison, really nice guy. But his work ethic was so different to everyone else's. I mean, have you ever had that boss, Rudee, where like you're scared to go home at R5 until they say you can go? Remember those days? Like, you know, your contracted hours are 9 to 5:30, but you don't want to leave because you're like, oh, I think he wants me to stay.
Yeah, you don't want to be the first one to go, do you?
No, I mean, he was very good and he taught me a lot, but he was harsh, you know, like, and what he taught me is business comes first. I remember me and my mates, we had tickets to go and see the Stone Roses and they'd just reformed and it was at Bridlington they were going to. I was really excited about going to it. And I booked the day off, but all of a sudden, about a week before, he bowled in the office and said, no, you've got to cancel your holiday. I've got to go to Turkey. There's a big issue going on. But what about this? Sorry, mate. And I was like, oh, brilliant. I'll make it up to you. And he did make it up to me. But I missed out. But apparently the concert was rubbish anyway, so he probably didn't.
Not that you're holding on to it.
Yeah, as well. So yeah. So he did me a favour, but so now you're dealing with. I'd say what he was. What would you call him? He was like real harsh businessman. Again, finance driven. You know, he knew where every penny was, and he knew who owed him this. And this was really successful. But after about 3 years, I got poached by the old Italian guy. Remember the Sicilian I mentioned at the beginning, to go and work with his new company. Well, it wasn't his company. There was a company literally just next door called Assisped, and they specialised in full trailers back and forth from Italy. Spent a bit of time doing that. Quite enjoyed it actually, but I felt really underused. The only day I was busy was a Friday, because that's when the groupies went out. Right. And it's also the first time I ever met someone that was a hoarder, like, who saw me as a threat to their job. And this was a guy that worked with him. Like, he didn't want me involved in it because, like, well, he's going to do it better than me and they're going to get rid of me. So I was like, well, I'm an asset that you can obviously afford, but I don't want to be it, you know. The worst part of that job, and that's, you know, when I say it's the worst part, but I've got respect for the guys, is every Monday morning, without fail, everyone had to be on site at 5 a.m. to help unload the group's trailers, right? And, mate, when you're 21, 22, you're out Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, right? And you ain't getting in to God. And I was always a mess. I dread. That's the one time now I think about it, when I hated my job, was those mornings. And I was like, I don't even work on imports. Why have I got to unload the trailers? Why have I got to be here? I can't drive a forklift. But what it did show me, it showed me these guys that run the warehouse and the drivers, the other side of the coin, you know. They didn't want to be there, right? But they were essential and an integral part of the job. And so now the guys that work downstairs in our warehouses, right, I respect them, and I'll go out of my way to say thank you for what they've done for me, you know. And at Christmas, always spend time with them and listen to them, because I don't want to do it. Yeah. They don't really want to do it, but they will do it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So remember that, like, you may be at the top, but there's a lot of people below you looking up to you saying, just take 5 minutes out of your day and think about what I'm doing. Yeah. So from there, that only lasted about 6 weeks. And the Turkish guy, he called me up, because when I left, he was like, oh, off you go. Go then. Go. I don't need you. I don't need anyone. That big speech, you know. Anyway, he called me up and we had a little mutual understanding. He didn't even offer me the job back. I just turned back up there a couple of days later and just sat down at my desk, and it was like it never happened. Right? Yeah, it's true that. It's like it never happened. It was like, oh,
just don't talk about it.
we never spoke about it. Right. And that is when, but what did change then is I came back, and all of a sudden we got a computer. And I'm like, what's this? What's this thing? And it's a computer and a mobile phone. And I'm like, wow, look at this, right? And it was a brick. I'm not kidding. It was massive. Right?
Was it the Motorola one? Was it the Motorola?
No, it weren't. No, we weren't that rich, mate. We had the BT rip-off ones, right? But I loved it because when it would ring, it'd light up the room. It's like, wow, right? But not many people had mobile phones there. So I'm walking around with this mobile phone, and I'm going out with my mates, like where we go drinking and all that, and I've got this massive brick. And I go, wow, look at that. And my mate goes, no one ever rings you on it. But they did, right? Because that's when my career changed, okay? Yeah. That's when I became the guy that was in charge of everything related to those trucks coming in and out. I didn't deal with the finance. I don't like finance, but I have to deal with finance now. But that's by the by. It was me. I was in charge to make sure when the trucks come in, was the customs clearance entry done right? Was this done right? Was the warehousing done right? Is the driver broken down? So you'll be racing around like middle of the night. He's had a blowout on the M1. You can go buy a tyre, you got a meeting, you got to organise this. It was real hands-on, okay, and I loved it. Really, really enjoyed it. There wasn't a moment there, apart from the Stone Roses moment, which obviously has scarred me because I still remember it.
Yeah.
Right? There's obviously scarred. I don't think I ever regretted my time there. And the years went by, and we got bigger and busier and busier. And he was very clever, Naim, with computers, right? And he went off to Turkey and he started writing a program called List 2000, right? I remember it very well. And it became basically the Google or the Yahoo search engine in Turkey. Oh, wow. And he was on talk shows and all this sort of stuff. Right. Yeah, there's me back in England running the business. I remember I said about finance, I'm running the business. Operation was doing well, doing really well. Okay, we had an office in Turkey as well, but it was missing its leader. And your good leaders is the man who controls the money, you know, because you've always got to respect that guy, because if you spend every penny you've got in your bank, you're just going to run out of steam and you're going to close. So you've got to remember. Anyway, this went on for a couple of months and the business was going down and down and down. And we had these 3 gorgeous, massive Volvo trucks that we just bought. Absolutely beautiful pieces of machinery and trailers and all this stuff. I loved them, absolutely loved them. It was about that time I took my test, actually, just so I could drive them. And you'd get the attitude of like the driver, oh, I'm tired. You go, well, get out, I'll drive it. You know? Again.
So you could drive legally. Like you probably saw one jumped in the cab and that was it.
I mean, that's one of my mottos. Never ask someone to do something you're not willing to do yourself.
That's true.
You know? So you've got to have done it to know what it feels like. So I spent a couple of weeks driving it around because I want to know what it felt like, you know? And you know what CMR stands for? I didn't find this out, started driving. Chauffeur must rest. I didn't realise that, because the driver shouldn't unload though, should he?
Yeah, true.
You didn't help me drive it, so why am I going to help you unload it?
Yeah. No? That's their attitude today. That's how they carry on. They turn up.
It is. But okay, I'm digressing. So I'm going to fast forward a bit, right? Because we'll be all day otherwise.
I think there's like 25 more questions.
I know. I'm just going to fast forward, right? So basically then, he was stuck in Turkey and he goes, tell you what, have it. It's yours. So we took it. And I had a partner in Kent, down in Hythe in Kent, a bloke called Julian, lovely bloke. And the two of us took it on together. Now, Julian was doing the warehousing side of it, so it benefits for him. But again, we weren't experienced in finance. We didn't know. We knew about trucks. We knew about how to sell it. We knew about this and that. Anyway, it went on for a while and it just failed. We just couldn't get the funding. We couldn't get our head around it. So I sold up and I got a little bit of cash. And there was a guy up in Stevenage called John, lovely guy. And I went for a job interview with him. And we had a mutual friends or mutual supplier. We'd actually been working for him unknown to him. We'd been working for him. So I started working with John. And that's when it really changed my career, okay? Because I'd seen the Turkish side of the business, the Kazakhstan side, the Russian side, heavy machinery, all of this. But his side of the business was what I started at the beginning of the conversation, was where he'd be that guy taking a pallet from London to Belgium for 50 quid. He was happy doing that. And I'm saying to this guy, look, we could do so much better here, you know? And that's when freight management was born. And what we decided to do, I mean, in our area at Stevenage and Hitchin, there was quite a lot of importers and exporters there. So we started selling ourselves. And the key to selling ourselves was the local Chamber of Commerce. So local Chamber of Commerce, you'd go down there and you're always going to meet someone who's exporting. And no disrespect to those people, they don't know where to start. Most people don't even know, as I said, they know what a freight forwarder is. So if you're going to start off your own business, I know I'm going to buy these from China. They don't know who to call, okay? So I think advertising is very key here, right? But we'll get onto that in a minute, because you can advertise all you want to other freight forwarders, right? But you never see someone advertising on the radio or on the telly. Yeah. Now, I know telly's expensive, right? But you never, all you hear is DHL, UPS, TNT, and all these guys, right? Yeah. They're not even freight forwarders. I'm sure Rudee will back me up on this. They're not freight forwarders. They're, you know. So anyway, where are we?
So yeah, Aidan, bring a break. So from there, how did you get into LinC Group?
How did we get into LinC Group? Right. So as I said, Chamber of Commerce, we met all these exporters, and then we started discovering and teaching them about importing out of China, exporting to China and all over the place. And there was a huge boom in China at this time. And the world and his wife started buying from there. But there was this fear thing, like, how are we going to do it? You know, how are we going to do this? And I really had to learn on the job. And we met more and more agents. And how we met these agents was we joined networks. Okay. And these networks, the people joining the networks were just like me. They needed to meet a guy in England. They needed to meet a guy in American and stuff. And thus it was born.
Yeah.
And from that, I mean, there's a few people who really enjoy me saying this. It just went bang, you know? And then you had the internet and you had emails, and it was just so easy, okay? So you could directly connect with your agent in China, and you could get an answer and you could put it together, and all of a sudden you were making money, right?
Yeah.
They had customs clearance. I mean, you could talk about it all day, but it was just like I said, it just went bang, like that. And all of a sudden, you've gone from little tin pot haulage to Italy and Turkey, importing from all over the world.
Now you're global, aren't you?
Yeah.
All of a sudden you become global. So we actually met at a network. That's where we met.
Yeah.
in the piano.
How many years ago was that?
12, 15?
Yeah, well over 12 years ago. Well over. You know, he had hair then.
Yeah. So it's like two lovebirds meeting in this piano bar, right? In the hotel lobby. Right.
You know, introduced a chap called a Canadian guy called Richard Thornton introduced us.
That's right.
Now, normally, if you use that name in certain circles, you get thrown out. Yeah,
I know Richard.
Yeah, nice guy, right? So I met him through WWPC, and Richard was like me. He's an English guy, and do you know what fascinated me was like I was talking to an English man who was based in Canada. I was like, wow, you're based in Canada? You don't live in England anymore? You know, again, like all these things were changed. My whole spectrum of the world had changed. So, but let's go back. You said about LinC Group, right? So LinC Freight Management is the key here, right? When we decided to start helping these people ship abroad, we was like, we're not a freight forwarder anymore. A freight forwarder doesn't lend people money to buy their stock in China. A freight forwarder doesn't do a letter of credit. Freight forwarder doesn't do this, doesn't buy a license, does that. That's where it became freight management. And that's when we started putting people in people's companies. Like, for example, you got ICR, you put an implant. We call it the locum, right? And it was like, it worked so well because you had access to their work and they were depending on you and reliant on you, right? Business to me is about a chair, okay? I use this all the time. Really, you know this one, right? It's a chair, 4 legs, right? 4 stable clients that are going to be with you, okay? Outside of that, you've got a couple of other little legs. So one of the big legs falls down, one of the little ones will come in and you grow on it. Till today, since well over 25 years now, I've still got 2 of those big chairs, those legs, same client, 2 of them, right? And they've been up and down like that. I actually upset one the other day, but we go back so far. Do you remember this and that? It's like, I don't care, mate. You've let me down. They'll get over it. It's life.
So much of this. Oh, sorry. Go on.
That's when the Young Freight Forwarder of the Year thing come in, right? John said to me, "You should enter this because you're good." They use the words, "You'll walk this."
Right.
Anyway, lovely guys at BIFA. I didn't win. I lost to, I got to the big fancy show, the dinner and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was sitting next to the guy from BIFA. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want him to get in trouble for this. But when they called the name up from the winner, he looked at me and he said, "You've been robbed there, son. But it's all about subscriptions."
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Oh.
You know, I'm not listen, I am going to blow my own trumpet. I'm one of the best at what I do. Okay. Back then, I was good. Today, I'm amazing.
Excellent. Well, there it is, straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah. So anyway, that's me. That's me. Yeah.
And it's all true.
Oh, go on.
I said it's all true. You know what I mean? He's amazing.
Yeah, I'm so modest as well about it.
Pay me later.
Yeah. No, I mean, but listen, you know, whoever's watching this or listening to this, if you've got no faith in yourself, no one's going to have any faith in you.
Exactly
really,
that.
are they?
No, that's true.
You know, if you're going to be this meek little kid, I mean, I've got guys that work for me, and I look at them, I'm thinking, where's your je ne sais quoi? Where's your, I want this, you know? And when I say I want this, I want you to rise above it. I want you to be the cream that comes to the top, you know? If I ever meet someone who says, oh, I don't do imports, I only do exports, you're going nowhere, mate. You're a 9-to-5er. You hate your job.
But that obviously comes from the passion when you were saying that you like the trucks from when you were very young and kind of have been brought up with it right to where you are now. So, yeah, that passion shows through.
Also, my dad, I must admit, my dad, he put a strong work ethic in me, you know, and I saw him, he came home from Ireland, had nothing, and he got everything through hard work, basically. You never saw him. He used to moan about work, oh, my back, all this. But he'd get on with it, you know?
Yeah.
Aidan, can you tell us about... Oh, go on.
Yeah, Aidan, I was just going to say, I bet you can't spell je ne sais quoi.
No. I can Google it for you, though.
See, information technology is the key behind lots of things. And it sounds, from your point of view, starting with the brick phone to now having platforms being able to talk to people globally, it's kind of obviously boosted the whole...
The best tool is, I always say to everyone, I've got it in here in my brain, but getting it out is so difficult for me. Like, I can do it for you, but to explain to do it. But now I can tell my computer, like I can tap it and talk my email, and it'll smart it up for me, and it'll put it legible to someone, you know, and it's out there. I mean, no one's ever going to say Aidan Magee is the best at grammar and spelling. Well, I don't care. This is me, right? You want a bit of passion? I'll give it to you. You want me to win a spelling contest? Bring someone else.
Brilliant. We are running out of time, Aidan, but can you tell us about any future developments within the group over the next year?
Well, we've had to think fast. Being a DDP specialist, as we call ourselves, we used to bring everything into the UK, we'd clear on behalf of the clients and then bang, straight out to Europe. So we've had to evolve that because our clients still need that. So we've had to invest in time and money in new branches like in Holland and educate ourselves about the tax issues and so forth. And there's no going back, right? No one's ever going to turn around and say, hey, this Brexit, it didn't work out really, did it? That ain't going to happen. Okay, I wish it would. And I'm sure everyone wished it did, okay, but it's not. So you got to think on your feet. You got to think fast. People go, oh, it's so congested, it's so busy, customers are so slow and all this. Find another solution then. You've got to find another solution, because if you don't, someone else will for you. And bye-bye.
Rudee, I'm going to move on to the desert island question. Did you have anything else you wanted to ask Aidan before we move on?
No, I know everything about it.
Right. Aidan, if you were stranded on a desert island, what would be the prized possession that you'd take with you?
Well, am I allowed to bring a human?
Yeah, of course.
I think my two boys then. My wife's going to kill me because it's not her. But I think my two boys, because I kind of do it for them now, you know. I mean, I used to do it for myself, but now it's like, I've got a purpose now. I've got responsibilities, you know, and now I feel like my dad now, because my dad had responsibilities. But I love my phone, right? I love that. But then again, I reckon I could do with some time without it. It'd be difficult because I'm attached to it. I'll bring my boys, I think. And if I'm allowed excess baggage, I'll bring my wife.
Oh my goodness, let's not tell her that bit.
No,
you're in trouble, man. That's it.
I actually thought you said, can I be a human about this? And you were going to tell us something really wacky that you were going to bring and be totally honest. But yeah, you said humans. No. Just your boys, that's something.
Mind you, they do wind me up a treat, but there's no one else in the world I want to wind me up, really. You know, I'm not the best people person in the world. I mean, which is a big thing for me because I have to network for a living. But trust me, when I go back to my hotel room and I can lounge around in my, your pants or whatever you want to lounge around in, your underwear and your PJs, that's when I'm at my finest, you know.
Well, I'm sure when your wife finds out that you've referred to her as excess baggage, I'm sure that will have.
Well, I mean that if you could bring something extra, not
We know what you meant. We know what you meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rudee, what are you taking?
Well, I ain't taking excess baggage. I'll probably take my phone.
See, that's just it. You want to get away from that.
Nah, I don't want all this niggling around me. I'll be on my phone, man. I'll be just.
Rudee can listen to his music on his phone. Play games, read books.
Actually, I'm a music man anyway. Hey, talking about taking the phone. Remember that time we flew out to Thailand, right? There was me, you, and what's his name, Paul, and we was going out to a conference in Thailand, and we was all sitting down and everything. And I said, look, I'm going to cut this conversation short. I said, look, I don't want to be rude, but I need to get back to my seat. I need to listen to some music, right? Anyway, so I went back to my seat. Where's my music? I couldn't find my iPod, right? And then I came back and you said, "God, was there nothing on your iPod?" I said, "I've left it at home." Right? And then he said, "Hey, sure, I've got two, but I've got Queen on this one and ABBA on that one. Which one do you want?"
Which one did you go for?
I went back and read a magazine instead.
The in-flight magazine, you read that instead. Yeah.
Oh.
Right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Aidan and Rudee, for being here today. It's been great to chat to you, and I wish we had more time because there's so much we could talk about, Aidan, but maybe we'll have you again on and we can discuss it everything in more detail.
Yeah, maybe next time tell me to be more structured and be quiet. Stop going on about the old days.
No, we love the passion.
Yeah, it was fine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's about CCL, right, Rudee? We're all about the passion.
Yeah, but when we edit it, it's going to be like 5 minutes anyway, so don't worry about it.
Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed it too. And remember, CCL are much more than packages.